Thanks for joining us at Take 5. In this series of teaching, we are looking at the subject of strengthening grace. And we have been looking from Ephesians, where Paul had prayed for believers that they would be, that they'd have open eyes and have revelation about three things: the hope of God's calling, the riches of God's inheritance in the saints, and the third thing, which is what we're going to focus on in this series of teaching, was that they would know the exceeding greatness of God's power to us, word which comes to us who believe. He said it's the same power, same level, same kind of power that God used when He raised Christ from the dead. Can you imagine if that power is available for us, that exceeding great power? Then I think it can aid us significantly. When we don't know what is available, we don't go to get it. And the lack of understanding and the lack of realization that God has provided for us New Testament believers this powerful, available commodity of strengthening grace by which He can minister His power and His might to our inner man. The lack of knowledge about this, I think, has kept many believers deficient in their strength level, and then caused them, of course, because of that lack of strength, has caused them to not be able to do the things they needed to do, whether resisting temptation, running their race, standing in tests and trials, dealing with difficult people, just living life day to day, doing what God has called them to do. You know, Paul said, I can, in Philippians 4. I can. What can you? I can do. What can you do? All things. How do you do that? Because of Christ who strengtheneth me. Sometimes we think when we can't do something, God's just going to do it from the throne. But Paul said, no, the reason I can do is because the strengthening power of Christ is being administered to me. And when I'm strong, I can. So we're going to look at strengthening grace from Paul's perspective, really. We're going to look at Paul's revelation of grace. We're going to look at Paul's experience of grace, Paul's prayers concerning grace, and then Paul's exhortations about grace. So we're going to start with Paul's revelation of grace. And if you have your Bible, I always encourage you to have it. We're going to look at 2 Corinthians 12, a very familiar passage, but maybe not understood in the way we should understand it. In 2 Corinthians 12, Paul's sharing with the Corinthian believers about the difficulties he was encountering. And he said, and lest I should be exalted above measure, this is 2 Corinthians 12:7, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, satanic messenger, to do what? To buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. Now the word buffet is very interesting here. It's a very strong word. It means to strike with a closed fist. So Paul, because of the abundance of his revelation, a messenger of Satan had been sent to hit him, to hit him, to hit him, to hit him. Now you know, it's kind of like in the boxing ring. When a boxer hits the other guy, sometimes just with body blows, he intends to weaken him enough that at some future, what do they call it, round, maybe in round 8 or round 9 or round 10, that man will be weakened enough that he can hit him, put him on the ground, knock him out. So Paul had been being hit and hit and hit and hit by this satanic messenger, and it was affecting him to the place where he said, I besought the Lord 3 times about this, that it, the satanic messenger, might depart from me. Now I'm going to tell you something that you may not like, but not every it is going to depart from you in your life. In fact, in this case, Paul prayed 3 times. 3 times he sought the Lord diligently. Change my situation, Lord. Change my circumstances. Remove this pressure. Remove this demonic messenger. Jesus never talked to Paul about that demonic messenger. We're going to pick up here on our next teaching. Thanks for joining us today at Take 5.